Oh, I still have a little coffee left. I thought I had finished it.
Coffee?
Ah, it's cold. That was no
I
good at
got
all.
iced coffee earlier from Dunkin' and inhaled it.
Yeah, but that was hot coffee that got cold. It's not the same.
Iced coffee is way better.
Yeah, iced coffee's good because it's made to
We're both
be that
wrong.
way.
Tea's better.
No.
Well, iced coffee is good on a really hot day, but for the most part, I like a nice hot coffee.
Iced coffee is good in winter. Got it.
I'm from Buffalo. I don't drink icy drinks in the winter, man. Like that's not where I'm at.
See, that's where I need to go, where it's cold. And that would be my element.
Nope.
Nah.
Like when we visited Jessica when she lived in Montana, and I was like wearing like jeans and a t-shirt, and you were like wearing like 5 layers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you need to warm the insides. You know what I mean? Like in the mornings here when I leave for work, it's like 36 degrees outside. It's really, really cold, and I'm in shorts and a hoodie because in the greenhouse is going to be really hot. So like I just have to like drink a nice hot cup of coffee and keep my insides warm, and that's going to have to be enough, you know.
Better?
Yeah.
Nope.
Thank you.
No,
it's fine now. I'll just get out right my eyes. When I have lights in the book.
What's that?
Better. Thank you.
Me too. Stupid eye drops.
It looks like you're getting them in though. It's commendable.
I don't like it.
More or less.
I gotta do 2.
I use eye drops on the regular, so you know I'm the guy that can just like drop them into like an open eye without doing anything. Like,
oh, you suck! I gotta like use my fingers and like guide it.
No, yeah, I used to be like that. I used to have to like do this, like open my whole eyeball like way out and hold it open and like get it in there. But no, like now I just boop, keep on going.
Yeah, I think because I was sick, I like rubbed in my eye, and then I had like a scratch on my eye.
Yeah, that's the worst. You scratch
And
like your.
why I started the scene from Friends is that happened to Rachel.
Oof,
Oh,
rough.
you did dry.
That was with dry ice.
That's got to have affected the. Well, actually, no, maybe not.
I couldn't open my eye the whole week.
What was that?
I couldn't open my eye for the whole week. I got new writing done.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's gonna cut into writing time. It's gonna cut into pretty much everything.
Yesterday was like the first day I could open my eye, and I was like, "Oh, what's better? I can edit." Nick's like, "No."
Yeah, I had to take away your laptop and hide it.
Yeah, it's gotta be a whole thing. Scratching your eye like that, this just sucks. I've done it a few times too. Like you're trying to get something on, just kind of go the wrong way, and it's the worst.
For an iPad to be a pirate. Not a pirate.
Yeah. You gotta go full pirate.
No, I'm not T-Rex.
You are.
Just have a big head and little arms, little legs, doesn't make me T-Rex.
T-Rex.
Well, our niece nicknamed her Rexy.
Tell the whole internet. You don't understand. People at work have given me this nickname now because they heard her saying it to me on the phone. The first time it happened, I'm like, what's a nickname? I'm not supposed to leave the house. I mean, it's true, but I don't want that to be my identity.
It makes me think of Jim Carrey in Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events when he's doing that. He's like...
He's doing the scene for the dinosaurs. I know the part you're about.
Oh, God.
Yeah. For real for that?
Yeah, I think I did. It's probably been a long time, but yeah.
He did so into it.
That's one of his like underrated gems. I think that movie. I don't feel like it gets the love that it deserves because some of the lines that he speaks in that movie just crack me up so hard.
There's a TV here too, right?
That's what we're talking about. That's the one that Jim Carrey did.
Was it a movie or a show?
It
It was
was
a
a movie.
the
But it
Jim
was
Carrey one was a movie, and then they remade it as a TV show on Netflix. But I don't think that it was very successful. I don't think
right.
they
That's
ever,
when Neil Patrick Harris took over.
yeah.
Oh,
I don't think they got a second season. I think it was just the first season.
Yes, it wasn't as good as it was.
I mean, it's one of those things where like when you have somebody like Jim Carrey and you replace him with, there's nothing wrong with Neil Patrick Harris, but he's not Jim Carrey.
But
It's
yeah, I
like
mean,
when they
they're
it's
funny, but they're in a different way.
but they
well,
were trying to
it's
play
like
up
when
the
they put
role.
it's like when they put Will Smith in as the genie
Yes.
for Aladdin. It's like, dude, I like Will Smith as much as the next guy, but he's not Robin Williams. Like
Nobody
you can't
can.
compare the two. It's apples and oranges, man. Like Robin Williams was a force of nature. And
Yeah.
the same thing is true with Jim Carrey. So like you put Jim Carrey in a role and then you follow it up with Neil Patrick Harris, it's not gonna work.
But the thing is, though, is that Jim Carrey is a motion actor, so like everything he does is very like facial and like hands-on reactions.
He's very reactive.
Where
Sure.
Neil Patrick is a theater major.
He
Already
projects.
it's two different mediums.
Right.
Yeah. It's a very different performance for sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, they have completely different styles, different. Yeah, I wanted that show to work. I watched the first episode. It didn't grab me. Like
I didn't
really
think
wanted
I was
it
like,
to work.
nope.
I really wanted it to work because I loved the movie so much. I wanted more. You know, I wanted it to go into the next story and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like same thing for Aladdin, like Will Smith wanted to make it a Bollywood. And he was denied, he wanted to keep it to like original, and I feel like they'd let him do that one better for him.
Because every live action Disney movie has to be a copy copy of the original.
Agreed.
Those Disney remakes are
They
weird,
suck.
man.
You're
They're
trash.
weird. They're weird, and I don't get why. Number one, I don't get why they keep making them. But number two, I don't understand why people keep going to watch them. They keep like making millions and millions of dollars,
Not
and I'm
that they're
just
gonna
like,
keep making them.
Yeah.
stop.
Now they want to make a
Stop
live
doing
action
it.
version of Lilo and Stitch.
I know that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work at all. Lion King didn't work.
No. Lion didn't work, Jungle didn't work.
You know, I didn't mind the Jungle Book. I thought the Jungle Book was all right. Because the Jungle Book is one of those that's been adapted before, and you know,
Yeah,
like, there's always a different adaptation. There's always like 2 or 3 that come out at the same time from different directors too. Like it's in the public area, so like it's different. Like I thought that one was okay, but like Mulan, for example, I didn't even watch.
Yeah.
I read a review that explained that she's like this, you know, like chosen one kind of like superhero.
Yeah, she starts out in the movie.
And I'm like, that takes away all of the agency of the character. It completely diminishes everything that the story is about. Like,
I
it's
think a
not
lot
the
of
same
people
story.
relate to like the journey that she goes on in the
Right.
Disney animated film.
Yeah. And in 2024, like that would have been a really great like representation character for, you know, like the LGBTQ community. Like you could have done something really special with Mulan in the 21st century like that. And then, you know, instead.
I mean, they went.
So I didn't even watch that one. Most of them I don't even watch them, you know. I watched the Aladdin one because I was just really curious. I was like, let's see how this is gonna work with Will Smith. And it was like,
So I watched Beauty and the Beast because that is my hands down favorite Disney movie.
I didn't watch that one. That's one where I was like, I love the original so much. There's no way I'm watching this one.
It was so bad.
Yeah, I know. I can tell.
Yeah,
I saw that
like,
trailer and I was like, you're not
like-
kidding me again, Disney. You're not tricking me again, Disney. No way.
I had to find out that Emma Watson didn't do the ballroom scene, which is the iconic scene from the movie.
They didn't do the ballroom scene. That's
No, it was CGI because she didn't want to wear the dress.
I was like wearing the dress and keeping it. Like, this is not mine. Because the dress is stunning.
Well,
That's
that's all
fun.
CGI. The whole dress isn't real. They like have it like the little like matching dress, and that's what she wore for the filming.
Oh.
That's hilarious. How weird. Hollywood is weird.
Yeah.
But
Bunch
you
of
want
weirdos.
the book adapted in like a TV or a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the payday, number one.
Right.
Because, you know, there's no money in novels, but there's money in TV. And and number two, because I would actually love to run a writer's room someday, to like show run a
Yeah.
show. Um, I love the visual storytelling medium. I love TV and movies, but movies have become something else than what I want to do these days. TV is what I want to do. Like
And with
these
the television series, like you can explore the character so much more because you have more time.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's something special that happens in TV shows that doesn't quite happen in movies or other, like, writing a novel or whatever, which is where the writer's room starts everything in the beginning.
True.
But once the actors are on set playing the characters, then the writers start seeing things in these actors, and they're like, oh, I can do something with that, or I can do, and all of a sudden they become this kind of like symbiotic thing that happens where the actors are feeding the writers and the writers are feeding the actors, and it's going back and forth, and it changes the show and it makes it better. And I know we spoke earlier that you guys haven't watched Breaking Bad, but it's the show that I know the most about, so it's an example that I can make. Where
Wait, didn't you do a thing on your channel about the
Yes,
show?
we did.
I remember that.
nobody watched it, so I stopped doing it. But but it's one of those things where like I had to pivot. So on that show, you have the two leads. You have Walter White, the main character, and you have Jesse Pinkman, his partner in crime. And the original plan for the show was that at the end of the first season, they were going to kill off Jesse to give Walter
really?
some. Yeah, they were going to kill him off to give Walter this big like revenge thing. Like I'm going to go and get revenge for my partner. But season 1 ended early because of the writer's strike at that time.
Right.
And that temporarily saved Jesse because they didn't write the finale, right? So when they came back for season 2,
finale.
So when they came back for season 2, they were like, you know what? We really like this Jesse guy. We really like the actor. He's got, so much more in him that we can do with. And the chemistry between them is really, really good. Maybe we don't kill Jesse off. Maybe we keep him around. And he made it not just to the end of the series, but he ended up getting his own movie too. So that just goes to show you what an actor on set can
Yeah, I remember they kept him on for the rest of the storytelling.
Yeah, he lasted a whole year.
A lot of shows or movies, once a show, it's like you have a character that's supposed to be one character, like you're supposed to be in like one scene or one episode. You just have to do a job. It's like we can't round them out now because we'll piss off the fans.
Yeah,
right.
Love the character and it's so vital to the show. So we'll keep them around. But then you have to pivot and change your whole show in a way because now you got to add the character that you didn't foresee in the beginning.
Right. Like for example, Big Fairy, Amy, she was a one-off character, and yet she stayed till the finale.
And I suppose it can happen to some extent in the novel version because it did kind of happen in my novel. There was in the very, very early days, I had written a couple of the first few chapters where I'm introducing the main characters and all that kind of stuff. And I gave them to my best friend from back in Buffalo. Now he's a partner with me on this whole thing. But at the time, I just gave it to him as like a beta reader kind of thing. Or even more of an alpha reader, actually, because it was more like draft 1 kind of stuff. But there was in the second chapter, I'm introducing my second main character, Lear. He's a bounty hunter, and he was going to start the scene in this bar, waiting his turn to go see the boss. And so he's sitting at the bar drinking, and I needed him to talk to somebody. So you have the bartender there, but I needed him to be more familiar with this person. So I was like, well, what if the bartender is related to him? Oh, she's his sister. So I just made the bartender his sister because that was going to be easy for me to write because I have a sister. And I'm like, I understand like that particular sibling relation. I can write that very easily. So I'll just make the bartender his sister. And so because I made the bartender his sister, I knew how to write her very familiarly. And then when I gave it to my friend to read, and I asked him, so who's your favorite character in the chapter? And he goes, oh, it's Harley. And I go, Harley? She's got 2 lines and she's in like 2 scenes. Like, what do you mean? And he's like, yeah, but she gave her brother a drink without him asking. She poured his favorite drink and gave it to him without him asking. She's my favorite character in the chapter. And I go, oh shit, there's a lot that, like, all of a sudden I knew who she was. As soon as he said that, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh, that's who she is. Oh, I can work with that. And before you know it, she has 3 point of view chapters now of her own in the book. And she's one of the main characters in book 2. And it's like, you know, I have plans for her going way down the line now. Like, she's one of my big heroes in the book now. So it's funny how that'll happen, you know, like a character will kind of like just sort of take over.
Well, it's funny that happens with the Hunted. Is that when we let people read our first track at it, a lot of people like these 2 minor like side characters named Jet and Ariana.
That happens.
So now you're right. It's like, okay, they need to be seen because these are the ones that everyone likes. So you can't just be like in the wind, but useful.
And I think the thought behind it is that people point out that they see a lot of personality in those characters. Which is funny because I was trying to put myself in the main character. Which I still see.
Yeah. But... No, Ari's definitely me.
You know, I think that is a product of the video game generation, because I know when I play video games, for the most part, the main character, the one that you're playing, for the most part, they're a pretty blank slate because you need the player to put in as much of their personality as possible. And so all the characters around him are really interesting. And I think that's something that has really permeated other kinds of storytelling, where people are like looking at that now. They're like, yeah, the main character is who he is, but look at this side character. He's pretty cool.
It's hilarious because the vampire for Hunting Donovan, I based him off of a dating character with his like turns, speeds, and dialogue.
Yeah. Man. Has a character ever revealed something about themselves to you that you didn't know? Does that ever happen?
I think they're doing the revisions for Hunted that are pointing out like a way to add more of the antagonist point of view in there, and like the way she, like, when it finally clicked, I was like, oh, this makes a lot more sense because the character more depth. Why didn't I think of that?
Right? Yeah. Oh, it sounds
simple. Were there all along. I just like was not putting 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
And then they were like, yeah, this is a good way to do this. And I'm like, oh yeah.
And another thing is like when you're writing a scene, because some people are like, it's hard to visualize a room. I'm like, how do we feel? Like, we can't see through. Like, we're trying our best to make this visualize people, but like something
and make it realistic. And it's
right.
Like something, it may be something that you never actually been able to see. It's like I guess this is what it looks like. Here's Google.
Yeah. Well, I guess this is what it is. Yeah, that's funny. It's weird how that happens. There's a character in my novel. His name is Archie. He's like the forensics, like nerdy tech guy at that the detective works with, and the guy in the chair, right? And so what's funny about him is like, well, most of your interaction with him is at work. The detective is at work. She's working with him on the case. They're investigating. There's banter and witty stuff that happens there, but you don't really get to know him as a person very deeply because you're at work with him. So he always was a very particular version of himself in all of those scenes. And then late in the novel, in the third act, the heroes have to sort of regroup a little bit, lay low, and they go to Archie's place. And what happens is, as I was writing it, they go and they knock on his door, and Archie's husband opens up. And I go, oh, I didn't even know that Archie was gay. And
I didn't realize you had a significant other. Okay.
I didn't realize, but apparently he is. And all of a sudden, everything makes sense. And I didn't even have to change anything from previous chapters. Like, he just always was who he was. I just didn't know until, and so I had to almost write it for the characters. They were like, oh, huh. What do you know?
I think we did a scene from Big Hero 6 where he at a friend's house and he's just this doofy kid after school that dresses up as a mascot and he ends up being like a millionaire.
I love
Yeah,
Big Hero 6.
that's good.
It's a good creative movie.
Underrated though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I've seen that one.
What?
What's it called again?
Big Hero 6.
The mascot.
Oh,
of
Big Hero 6. No, yeah, I have seen it.
Marshall
Of course I have. Of course I have. No, yes. That's so, yeah, that's funny. There's a whole theory about Big Hero 6 where like the older brother survives and is like somehow like a time traveler or
Time
something.
traveler, yeah, which I hate time traveling.
Yeah.
I do not see it in any books, any movies. I hate it.
I like time traveling, but I don't want to write it because it just seems
hard.
It's hard to pull off. I'm cheating though. I'm cheating in my novels because I have a character who has a very fantasy based lineage that she doesn't necessarily know about. And so she's capable of some things that she might not even know of yet. And one of the things that she knows that she can do is she knows that she can share trips and dreams with people and kind of like help them work through their traumas and stuff like that. What she doesn't understand is that dreams don't really have time, like
Right.
It doesn't work that way, and because of that she can affect things in time. So she's had interactions with people in the past that she didn't know she had until she actually had it. But it's not time traveling because she's not traveling anywhere.
Well, okay, after your projection, but your answer is better.
Yes, no, but it's very much.
See,
like,
I might not. I mind where it's like, oh, I made a mistake. Let's go back in time and fix it. Like you're just talking about that you didn't like what you wrote.
Like an Avengers.
Yeah.
The only good way to do that is if fixing it just causes more problems. Like you shouldn't mess with time, man. Go in the back and change stuff. You're gonna mess stuff up.
I feel like the best name for that is the Flash universe, the Flashpoint.
Yeah. That's a can of worms. That's a can of worms.
I mean, so many movies that one.
I mean, we can talk about the comics, and that's that's good stuff. But
I said comics. I didn't say anything about the movies.
I didn't even watch. I refuse to watch that movie. I'm like, I'm not giving DC any more of my fucking money, unless it's Batman or the Joker, because these two, like Aquaman 2, not watching it. Just like Blue Beetle. I love Blue Beetle. I love Blue Beetle comics. I'm not watching that movie. Like these movies look terrible.
Everybody from Marvel and aside from Deadpool, I feel like that's the one I want to watch. But anything else, it's like nope.
I have high hopes for Deadpool because I feel like Ryan Reynolds is the type who's going to fight for the stuff that matters. So I have high hopes for Deadpool.
Same.
But Marvel's another one where they've been putting out some rough stuff.
Oh, I'm done with anything to do with superhero movies.
It's rough, man. I love superhero stuff. I want them to be good. I don't get tired of superhero movies. I just want them to be good.
Exactly. Better.
Yeah, I just just don't suck. And
like I love comments. I mean, that's why Girl Pump was comments and manga.
Yeah, man. Like that's what God. I love comics.
I just don't like what they're doing with the media.
I think books are a way to make comic book more accessible. Yeah.
Same thing with manga.
Well, see, the thing with comic books, when you think of like the superhero stuff, you think of the big two, DC and Marvel. All of a sudden, you're talking about 70 plus years of comic books, and that can be very intimidating for a new reader. They're like, "Where do I start? Why are there so many number ones?" Like it's confusing. I get it. It's confusing.
Comic book is so visual. It's like, how do you make that accessible for me that's blind?
Yeah, that's another thing.
I mean, there's dialogue in comics, but a lot of it is based on the illustration.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a visual storytelling medium. It's not movies or television, but it's one step removed from that. It's the storyboards for movies and television. And because of that, there is a motion that goes into the panels. There is, it's supposed to lead your eye up and down the page and onto the next one. And your imagination is supposed to fill in the panels in between. So one panel you've got Spider-Man on the ground, on crouching down. The next panel he's soaring through the air. Your brain has to connect the dots in between, and there's an art form to that. There's a technique for the art to do that, and you're right. How do you make that accessible for visually impaired readers and stuff like that? That's a whole another challenge.
I think I found one person doing a reading of the Daredevil Man Without Fear comic, and it wasn't too bad. Like, it wasn't like super overly descriptive, right. But you had a sense of what was going on, and it was just like that one comic. And I'm like, come on!
Well, I mean, there is that YouTuber that does Tom Explains where he reads comments, but he doesn't read most comments. He just reads like snippets.
Yeah, that's what he.
Yeah, he like summarizes or whatnot. Right? Yeah. It's interesting.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Which is annoying when you hear people say that, oh, your comments, you're not a reader, but it's like, you're still reading. Like, that still counts in my opinion. Like, you shouldn't say, oh, you're reading comments, you shouldn't be reading them.
Yeah. I mean, reading is reading.
About audiobooks too.
Yeah, they say that about audiobooks. They'll say that about anything. Reading is reading, and anybody who's like fixated on like how you do it is just they have too much time on their hands. Get a hobby, leave me alone.
The only thing I regret is not stealing that comment from our library. We had the one where Gwen says she's killed in our library, and it was in Road of Edition. I was like, I wish I had stolen that. Now
they probably don't even know what they have. Like, and library comics get beat up too. Like they get beat up.
I'm surprised this one was in really good condition.
Oh, you gotta wonder if somebody like put that.
I looked it up.
Yeah, probably was like, I'm taking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like a little hidden gem for people to find. That's interesting. That's funny. Yeah, man, Gwen Stacy's death, that's a big issue. That'll go. Yeah, that'll go.
I didn't know that at the time, but then I found out I went back and it's on. Like, damn it.
Do you guys have your books in libraries?
We do.
Cool.
And we also have our sister's book in there too. She made a children's book.
Nice. Did you guys get it in the libraries? Just like through the normal like author like filling out the forms type stuff, or like what? Like
yes.
how'd you do it? Yeah, they rejected mine.
We have a thing where you fill out the form and then you have to donate a physical copy of the book, and then we'll put it in their archive.
I did that at my local branch, my local library. Filled out the form, donated the copy, and they rejected it. They rejected it because they have limited shelf space and it doesn't come with an audience, and they need some stuff that has audience. So here's what I did. I was like, okay, I'm a card carrying reader here at the library. I know that when I look for a book at the library and they don't have it, I can request it. So right. I just logged in and requested my own book. And they ordered it. They ordered 2 copies. It's on their shelf right now. It gave me a little alert. They're like, hey, it's here. So I went down, I got it, and I gave it right back. And I was like, put it on your shelf. That's my book. I got it in here.
Hey, it's nice how we creative.
Yeah, man. Like, you gotta do what you gotta do.
And I was surprised that we were able to actually request our sister's book to be added to the library because she doesn't live in Maryland. So I found a loophole. So now I'm buying other offer to people's books, like indie author books, and like going to my library and be like, here, order this book.
We have a list in the Discord server. I don't know. Are you guys in the Discord server?
Yes.
There's a list in there of our IBN numbers for you to request them from your libraries. So that way, because that way, like, if I order your books in my library system, well, now you have your books in my library system. And then if you order my book in yours, well, now mine is in yours. Normally, I would not be able to order mine from yours. So, and that way we all do it for each other. And then everybody's books is in every library ever. And it's awesome. So go check that out.
I'll have to go check that out.
Ladies, was there anything else that you wanted to cover today before we wrap things up?
Oh, it's over?
I know.
I enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
I had a great time. I enjoyed talking to you guys. This was a lot of fun. And I like your dynamic. It makes me very excited to read your novel in particular, because the two of you working on one story, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's the only sense how we wrote was that we each picked different characters and we worked for them. And no one's writing for all the characters either.
That's interesting because everybody does it differently. There's interviews with Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett when they wrote Good Omens, where people are like, well, who thought of this scene or who did that, and they're like, we can't answer that, we don't know, because like I wrote a bunch of stuff and I sent it to him, and then he like rewrote the whole thing and sent it back, and then I rewrote his thing and sent it back, and we just kept rewriting each other's stuff, and who knows who thought of what. Like, it's just some big mess.
That's kind of what happened with us.
Yeah, and we've been told that like people that like know us closely, like I think our owner was reading the book. She's like, I can kind of see like who wrote each character because that obvious from your personality. I'm like, really? I was aiming for that, but I guess there's like little pieces of you in each character that you create.
But Kenny is a book 2, and I think I went a little too dark.
Good. You gotta make it darker.
That's
well, in book 2 we know Transylvania, it's more focused on the vampires.
I have a show on my channel that I do once in a while. It's called Write the Damn Story. And the whole point is we get 2 or more writers. We throw up prompts to the live chat. We figure out what the genre, what the basic stories that we're writing. And then we write a short story together. And so it'll usually take 3 or 4 episodes. And, we do all the thought dump and, story idea segment. And then we write an outline. And then we divide the outline to scenes, and we each get scenes to write. And then we write the scenes live stream, like we share our screens and people watch us write the thing. And then we edit each other's. So like he'll send me his scene and I'll send him mine, and we'll edit it. And so I'm like rewriting all his stuff, he's rewriting all of mine, and we put it all together.
But is it hard to put on the spot?
But it's so funny because like we'll have like one writer who's like a horror writer, and another one who's a sci-fi guy, and me who like will write whatever. And then like it doesn't always gel, because the horror writer writes a really creepy, scary scene, and then mine is funny, and then Martin will write one where like a laser shoots out of a robot or something, where like none of this flows. It was not working. No, it actually turned out pretty good. It's not bad.
I like fun concept.
Yeah,
my thing is like, okay, here's the prompt, now write, and I'll just like stare at the screen like I can't write on the spot. Like, come back to me the next day and I might have something for you.
When I start doing sprints again on my channel after the interviews are done, I'm gonna start using this. I got this for Christmas last year. It's writing dice, and it has different excuse me, different topics. It has character dimensions. There's 4 dice with different character dimensions. There's one that gives you the time that your story takes place in, the place that your story takes place in, the theme that your story goes through, the conflict, and the point of view character, and then, or the point of view like type, right? And so like you roll the dice, and it gives you a prompt, and you got to write whatever it tells you to write. And I think that'll be fun for like streams.
That'd be really fun
for sprints and stuff. Like put the prompt up, and everybody writes their version of it.
Yeah. Writer Sam Wicker does this thing where she has a character randomizer, and you use dice, and you're filling out basically like a D&D character sheet, and then once you have the character made up, then you have to write the story with the character.
Right.
So she does that once a month, and I need to get back into doing it because I feel like
we need to finish that. We had a couple where we've written together.
It's really good, like get your creative juices flowing, because you're just like, alright, here's a character, now write something with a character.
But the funny thing is that random characters, we still have nothing on.
I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
I have no idea how that happened.
Well, I want to go back and like re-edit some of those short stories that we wrote on that show, because there's some good ideas there. There's one about like a motel room where like this weird time travel-y murder thing happens, and I think the other one was
the one you were doing with Martin.
That's the first one that I did with. I did that one with Martin, the motel, the motel murder thing, and then the second one we did with Martin and this guy named Mike DeFrench, He's a horror writer, and we wrote a story together about how like this like internet stalker hacker guy gets like murdered by somebody he was stalking or something. I don't know. There's something like that happens. But there's there's interesting ideas there. There's like a whole like Big Brother voyeur thing that happens in that second story, and like there's ways that you can go with it. It's pretty interesting. It's fun.
Yeah, it's funny when you go through all your old stuff like notebooks or stuff like that, and you're like, brand improved, and you try not to cringe. You're like, I didn't realize how many fan fiction I've written in my books.
Yeah.
Are they gonna see the light of day?
Maybe.
Do it. Do it.
Share them. All right, ladies. Well, thank you so very much for joining me today. This will go up tomorrow, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being on the channel.
Thank you for having us. This was fun.
It was a blast. I'm gonna check out your books. I'm very excited to read both your poetry, but your novel in particular. I'm very excited. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna try these sprints and rank horse on Sundays. So you can join. Just shout out.
Sundays I'm Sundays I'm off from work. I'm usually doing this in the afternoon, but yeah, if you're doing it in the mornings, I might be able to get a sprint in or two. That sounds good. All right, you guys. Thank you again, and right on, writers. We out.
See ya.